Come join me to paint some fall pumpkins. Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Alisa of Alisa Laporte Art. Today we are going to paint this pumpkin sketch I created and showed in a sketchbook video tour, which I will link in the card and in the description below. I will also show you a picture of my reference photo here, and I will link both my photo and sketch, which you are welcome to use for study purposes, in the description below. The materials I will be using for this painting are a 2B pencil, erasers, both kneaded and a gum eraser, my watercolor palette, paper towels, brushes. These are my new silver black velvet ones I ordered and talked about in my Blick haul video, and I will link that in the card and the description below. And my Arches cold pressed 140-pound paper. I'm going to start sketching based off both my sketch and my photo. You will notice the sketch change slightly as I go to paint, and that's because my first painting didn't turn out as I had hoped. I was following my photo more than my sketch, and I lost what I had loved in my sketch, and why I wanted to turn it into a painting in the first place. The first one didn't look bad, but I will show it to you later. I wanted to emphasize the importance of creating a sketch or a thumbnail before you even touch paint to paper. That is where you work everything out so your painting is successful. To help me keep focused on my goal for this painting, I put away my photo and only looked at my sketch. I know what colors I needed for a pumpkin, but it's the values and my composition that I needed to focus and pay attention to. If you are interested in this painting, it is for sale in my shop on my website, and the link is in the description. I will start by saturating my paper with water, making sure I don't miss anything. I want my first layer to be wet on wet. After adding water, I need to make sure I wait till the paper just loses its shine. Then I'm going to add some paint at a tea consistency, starting with our background. It's okay if some of the colors blend into each other. It gives us a beautiful effect. I'm using Serpentine Genuine. This is one of the Danielle Smith's Primatech paints. I did a video reviewing this paint, and I will leave a link in the description below. Next, I'm going to add Hansa Yellow Deep and Cad Yellow Light to where my midtones will be. Sorry for the jump here. My camera ran out of memory and I didn't realize for a couple minutes, but I added more Hansa Yellow Deep and an orange I mixed using Mayan Orange and Cad Yellow Light. Deepening the areas, I will have shadows and blending slightly into the midtones. Slowly I darken my values, having less water and more paint, and adding more Mayan Orange. Then I go into my shadows after my first layer is dry. Be very delicate on the side of the pumpkin with the highlight. We don't want to lose it, so I will add Hansa Yellow Deep with a little bit of my orange mix. Then as it is drying, I will go in with Peril Red to add saturation and vibrancy to my shadow area. Once done with that, I will repeat these steps with the smaller pumpkins. As I add my pigment, I will take another brush with some clean water to slightly blend out some of the color. I don't want to overblend as I love the looseness of the paint. I know they look very red right now, but that's normal until we add our shadow colors. We will use violets and blues, which is orange and red's complements. These will either work perfectly together or they can create mud if overmixed. So we will make sure everything is completely dry before adding them. For the white pumpkin, I'm using ultramarine blue and a touch of burnt sienna to get a lovely gray for my half and mid tones. I also want to keep that Hansa yellow deep reflected light. Remember, you can be very loose with this kind of painting. For the stems, I'm adding that Serpentine Genuine to the half and mid tones. Then a mixture of Serpentine Genuine and Ultramarine to darken the shadows, reaching into the mid tones with some blending. Here I am deepening my values, since everything is dry, with my Pale Red and a touch of Hansa Yellow. Now I say a touch because it doesn't take much yellow to overpower another color. I'm going in and deepening my values in the shadows. Going into my Quin Rose, Pyro Red, and Ultramarine Blue to get a nice deep violet for our shadows. Here we go! To start the shadows underneath the pumpkins, I'm going to use a very pale mixture of Ultramarine Blue and Quin Red, just going under and defining where our shadows are. Then I'm going back in with my shadow mixture to start the large pumpkin. I wanted to wait until the smaller ones were mostly dry so that I wouldn't get too much bleeding. Once it's dried, I want to go in with my mix in a cream consistency, so even less water and more pigment. I'm not completely going over the same shadow shapes as before. I want to show how the values deepen as our pumpkins curve away from the light and from the shadows cast from other pumpkins. All the while remembering where the reflected light is coming from, both the table surface and other pumpkins. For my white pumpkin, I will add value using Cobalt Blue and Burnt Sienna mix, making one of my favorite grays, using less water and more pigment of the same mix to darken my values even more. I will leave a link to my gray video in the description below. To achieve my darkest darks, I want to use more pigment and less water, and I mix Ultramarine Blue and Pale Red for a deep violet with a strong saturation. Using the same mix, but adding Lunar Blue, I add my dark values to the stems. Then I decide to spatter a little red, orange, and violet from the mixes already on my palette onto my pumpkins, just for some texture. Using my dark mix, I will create the cast shadows under the pumpkins using a brush with clean water. I will blend the cast shadows out a little bit. Then I feel like I need to darken my background just a little to help the pumpkins really pop. Using my Serpentine Genuine, I go over the background one more time, being very careful around the pumpkins and stems. Turning it upside down gives me more control so it doesn't run into my subject. Then I spray a little water after it starts to dry for some added texture. I will touch up and add any details that I feel are needed, mostly little brush marks of color to add little pops here and there. I felt like my shadows definitely needed a bit of cobalt blue to liven it up a bit. Stay tuned to the end of the video where you can see these details up close. Really loving what's going on here. Let's see if you can see that. It's just us two, me and you. Look at the colors in there. That's why I like this green. It has that red, so it kind of gave me almost a second color without having to use a second color. I really like how it's turned out in comparison to my other one. So the sketches were a little different because I did try it and I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I feel like it's too dark and muddy. So I'm really happy I ended up doing it again. This one's a lot cleaner, brighter. It feels more like fall. It could be for either Halloween or Thanksgiving. I love the contrast. And one of the things I changed is the first one I was looking at the actual photograph. The second one I only used my sketch as a reference. I mean, I know the colors of a pumpkin, the shading, and what I liked about this concept was the light and just the overall composition of the painting. And that's what I felt like worked for this, was my sketch. We're gonna finish that up. I'm gonna actually go in with the smaller one, and we're gonna deepen this back up because I lost that when I added the background. I did also add a light wash of Serpentine Genuine to the bottom by the shadows of the pumpkins, just to really pull it all together. Now I'm gonna sign my name and our painting should be finished. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed painting these pumpkins with me. Question of the day, I'm creating some Christmas cards. What kind of Christmas cards are you wanting to create? Santa, mountains, trees? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't checked out my sketchbook tour where this painting was inspired, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot, and click the bell to be notified when I upload my video on painting a Christmas card. And I'll see you in the next one.